Hi guys, welcome back to Finding Your Indie. I'm Bonnie Paulson, and today we are talking about my new favorite tool. And I shouldn't even say it's a new favorite tool because honestly, I've been using it for about 6 months. But about 4 months ago, I realized that I had done something. Well, actually, I didn't even realize it then that I had done it. I was making a faux pas and I actually thought it was the program's problem. And this is how amazing the guys at this company are. I got kind of snippy. If you know me, I'm pretty blunt and to the point. I went into this thinking, okay, I did everything right. I hooked everything up. I did the things correctly that I was supposed to do. Why isn't this working? Why does it look like all of my accounts have cross access? What is going on? Then I got frustrated and I blamed it on their program. I didn't realize that something had been connected incorrectly on my end until about a week ago when I was speaking with Tom, who's phenomenal contact support at, I'm just going to say it, Merch Jar, because I've already been talking about it, right? I mean, you should have seen that in the title. So the whole concept, I met Cameron last year at in Vegas at the conference there, and he was a super nice guy. And I was like, let's talk. I would love to talk about this because I've run AMS ads for clients, and I think this is super fun. I would love to discuss this with you. Well, we got on a call and we were talking and I was like, that's really cool. I love this. How he was explaining it to me was he started out doing it more as like a merchandise, right? Not books, but more of a merchandise kind of a setup, but that he wanted to move into KDP as a source, as another like marketplace, I guess you would call it, for him to be able to provide this service to you. And I was like, yeah, it sounds really cool. So I started trying it and I really loved it initially. Now, just a second. Hold on. So I loved it initially. And then I had a client who reached out to me and was like, hey, are you doing these things in my account? Because I wasn't supposed to have AMS access for her ads. It was only supposed to be for attribution links. And I said, no, I'm not doing those things. But they were actions that I had set up a recipe for in another client's account. I thought a recipe is something we'll get into in a little bit. But this was a mistake that I made, but I didn't know it at the time. I thought it was the company's fault. And so I was like, let me talk to them. And I spoke with Cameron. I was like, hey, this seems to be happening. What's going on? Because this is API access, right? Like this is happening. He said, no, there's no way that it could be happening. He goes, but I'll talk to my developer and whatever. Well, I didn't hear anything from him and he didn't hear anything from me because I was like, I don't know what's going on. And it was freaking me out so much that I actually discontinued using it, which was really unfortunate because I was really understanding the recipes. I was really liking the smart campaigns. Again, we'll talk about those in a minute. But I was like, gosh, I really love the program. Maybe it's not for those of us who have multiple accounts. Because I myself, for my own author names, I have so many. I actually used it across 4 of these different accounts. And so it was really good for that. But I didn't want to be running the same recipes for my Amazon Advantage campaigns that I was running for my AMS campaigns. So I was like, crap, maybe it's just for people who are not running multiple accounts. So I had still been recommending it to people. I was like, check it out. They have a free trial. It's amazing. And they actually are on like a tier pricing where it depends on how much you're spending and then how much your net income is. That's how I understood it before. Now it's changed just a little bit, but it's still super affordable. Anyways, let's fast forward to last week. So this whole time I was like, yeah, it's fine. It's good. I like it. It's good. I really like it. But again, it was hard for me to be really encouraging people to be using this tool because I thought that I had a bad experience with them. Again, Cameron was extremely nice. It had nothing to do with his being nice or being helpful. I think for number one, it was just a communication error in that section. And then I was like, actually Cameron was really nice and reached out to me again because he'd met someone at another conference and was like, oh yeah. And they said, yeah, Bonnie Paulson recommended you. So he reached out to me again and he was like, hey, I noticed that your accounts weren't connected anymore. Do you want to talk about what happened? Is there thank you for recommending us still? And I was like, yeah. And if you've met me, I don't pull any punches. So I was pretty frank, what happened in the email. I was like, this happened and this happened and this happened. And I'd love to try Merch Jar again because I love it. I loved the concept. I loved the theories behind it. I loved the application practices that I had used previously with it. And I said, but right now I'm a little I feel like I'm gun shy, right? I'm a little nervous. And so he came back with, I totally understand. Why don't you do this? I'm even going to give you a credit to try it. And I was like, oh, well, thank you so much. I'll try it. So I went back in there and I'm hyped right away, reconnected right away, started having the same problems because why wouldn't I? And I'll show you actually what happens when we go in and actually look at the account. I'll show you and I'll kind of explain to you what happened. But essentially, when you go in, you set up your account, and I'll show you that information. You set up your account and you nickname your account. You do a merch jar nickname. Well, when you run as many ad accounts as I do, I need them to be nicknamed, right? I need them to be named. I was dumb and I fully and I'll get back to how I did this, but what happened. But when I was naming them, the 2 letters at the end of 2 of my client accounts are off by 1 number. And they look the same. It was 3 and 8. It was horrible. And so anyways, no excuses. I don't believe in excuses, but that didn't help me. That didn't help me at all. I was mortified. But how I found that out was I got really upset. Again, I get really I'm really personal about my business because my clients trust me, and I'm trying to use programs and stuff to make my job easier and to make sure that things are not given to human error. Okay. And I admit I'm human. I make mistakes. And this was so frustrating for me because I was like, it's doing it again. It's still accessing this account. I don't understand what's happening. It was really, really frustrating. And then, so I had reached out to Cameron, found out Cameron was on vacation, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so upset. I was really, really upset, and justifiably so. I was upset. But it was misdirected. It was not directed correctly at it should not have been at these gentlemen at all. And I'm horribly embarrassed that I did that. And I feel so bad that I'm actually doing a public apology right now, an explanation of what happened so that you understand why I took the break. You understand how gracious these guys are and how, why I'm such a proponent now for Merch Jar. But let's go back a second. So I was really upset, because everything was happening the same that had happened 4 or 5 months ago. So I wasn't hearing anything from Cameron because he was on vacation. So I reached out to the support and which is, again, super easy to access them. I'll show you exactly how to do it if you ever need it. And Tom answered, and I was kind of rude. I was like, okay, this is not funny. This is happening again. And I was sending screenshots and all the things. And Tom came back with the question or the comment. I don't know if it's a question or a comment so much. I'm not sure exactly which one it was. I can't remember off the top of my head, but his question or his comment in his customer support chat with me was what made me have my aha moment of what to check. Because up to that point, I'd been cross-checking accounts, cross-checking ad campaigns, cross-checking keywords, cross-checking to make sure everything was on par, but nothing was the right thing. And I couldn't figure out why. And it was driving me nuts. And I was like, this has got to be on your guys' end because it's not my program, right? How could this possibly be on my end? But when he was like, well, I'm showing the ad account ID, and he showed me the ad account ID, and he said, and these are the ads associated with that ad account ID. He wasn't showing me the nickname, which is how I was referencing everything, was the nickname that I had assigned. So I was like, hold up. I'm going to go double check some things. I'll be right back. You guys, my pride was not having it. I was just like, this is not a good thing if I have made this mistake. So I went in and I was looking across some things and I was like, okay, this and this and this and this. Oh my gosh. And I saw where it was an 8 and a 3, and then I switched them, and that was exactly the change that needed to be made. I felt like a complete idiot. I took 2 seconds, literally 2 seconds, to suck up and smash my pride because it was not their fault. And I had been a whorish brat, just a brat. I can't even come up with the words to say that I can actually say on YouTube. Suffice it to say that I leaned back for 2 seconds and I was bleeping myself. I was beep. I mean, it was just because how in the heck, what was I doing? How in the heck could I do that? But I'm giving myself grace because I do handle a lot of clients, and I was trying out a new program, and I was trying to cram it in with everything else that I was doing, and I just overlooked the numbers. I just misconstrued them in my head. However, that being said, I reached out to Tom immediately, and I was like, look, this is what happened. It's on my end. This is not your program. I'm going to switch these names. I'm going to make sure that that's correct. And then I will let you know if I have any other issues. Give me 5 minutes. I did exactly that. Went in, changed out the things. Again, their site, their program is phenomenal. Their platform is, I cannot tell you how easy and beautiful it is to use. And I've thought this even before I was thinking I was having issues, right? But oh my goodness. So I went in, changed those out, and went and I double checked every account to make sure the campaigns were in the correct accounts, to make sure that the recipes were assigned to the correct accounts. That was all it was, you guys, was I simply had switched the names. And I was so horribly embarrassed. But just to make sure that I was not doing anything else incorrect, I actually had this client give me, change out access to a different account so that, to protect, just in case. So I did it with one of my different account manager accounts, and I removed her completely from this other account. And then that way, that one is protected and I don't have any other API access at all, because I don't want to possibly have that access, So anyways, all of that to say, after my horrible groveling, which I'm not very good at, Tom came back with an extremely gracious reply, and he was like, you were fine, don't worry about it. I was really stressed out thinking that this was something on our end. I'm so glad that it wasn't. And that makes my heart hurt, because I did not mean to add more stress onto someone else's workload when I already know what it feels like to be stressed out on my own workload. So Tom, again, I'm really sorry for that. Cameron sent back a really nice email, and he was on vacation. Ultimately, these guys went above and beyond to try to make me feel better for my mistake, even though I was a brat about it. And I'm so sorry. So again, I'm super sorry. They were phenomenal. I'm going to actually now get into how I use MerchJar as an ad manager and as someone who's optimizing my AMS ads. And then I'm going to have a bonus for you at the end. And it's actually for you, really easy for you to use if you do want to give MerchJar a try. It's some really great author-specific tools and recipes that I have been working on, that I've created, that I wanted to give you as a chance to try MerchJar. Now, because I've made this mistake, I will not be using any affiliate links with them. I will not be trying to get any affiliate income from them, because I made this mistake and I genuinely love their program and I love the way it's set up, and I'm not going to take anything out of their pockets because I made this mistake. And so everything that you are seeing is my honest opinion and my humble apology. It was a huge mistake on my end. So anyways, here we go. We're going to start talking about MerchJar. And there are some things that I really like about MerchJar that I'm going to be showcasing you. And I don't really have any complaints at this point, because again, I've used it at 2 different scenarios and I haven't really enjoyed it. And I am already seeing my AMS ads in my own personal accounts, which is all I'm going to be showing you today. My own personal accounts actually starting to scale up, which is great, especially in the summer and when I haven't released a book in over a year. Okay, so number 1, MerchJar is phenomenal for optimizing your AMS ads, or your Advantage ads, or both. You just connect as many accounts as you want to, as long as your main account that you're connected with has access to these other accounts. I have a page, I believe, on Finding Your Indie, like a post that explains how to add multiple accounts to one account so that you can utilize, if you have an Advantage account and you have an AMS account, and maybe you have some other accounts that are in there that you want to hook together, it can do that. MerchJar has great things. Whatever your API has access to, like your account has access to, their API can actually access. And you can turn them on or off based on what you want to access and what you don't want to access. And then, of course, you can name them. I love that about the MerchJar platform. So that's the first thing, is you can actually, it's to optimize your AMS ads and your Advantage ads. I'm going to be referring to them as AMS ads, because for the most part, authors who come here and see this video will be using an AMS account. Some of you might have an Advantage account as well, or instead of. That's okay. It works the same. Okay. And the recipes will work the same. Everything works the same. As far as from what I understand, I've not been able to see where I could possibly have lock screen ads be affected by MerchJar or sponsored brands. I'll let you know if that changes, but for right now, we're mostly focusing on product ads. And there are some recipes where I was like, yeah, if this is a sponsored product one, then this is going to be for like visibility. So it might be able to affect it in the back end, but not necessarily in the straightforward sense like we have with the product display ads. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna go into my merch jar account. Here we go. Okay, as you can see, this is my merch jar account. My name's Bonnie. And here's the add account settings. This is the first place you're going to want to go. So this is my marketplaces, the US. If you have other accounts that are like, if you have like Italy, Spain, Germany, Australia, UK, any of those, you will add them as another marketplace. You have to like select it when you go in, and it's like when you go right here and you go to integrations and add data connections. So the data connections are the ones that you're going to go in and name it and name the accounts. And then once you do that, then you can select, yeah, I want to have access with my US, my Australia, and my Italian accounts, whatever. Okay, so, but they're telling you that in this, but they will be different accounts. They will be showing up as different accounts in your merch jar account. All of the accounts, though, contribute together to be the cost. Okay. So if you're spending $1,000 in your US account and $500 in your Italian account and $500 in your Deutsch account, German account, you will have $2,000 spend. And what they make across those three accounts, what they're attributed for the spend, for the income, is what is actually determines your fee. Okay. And it's actually really low. So I have like 12 author accounts in here, and the income is really high. And I think all I pay is like $50 a month. So that's a good thing. Okay, so we're going to keep going down inside of the ad accounts. Now, if you run multiple accounts, you'll have the opportunity to nickname them inside of the data connections. However, please double check your identity, because that's where I failed. It's fine. I still am horribly embarrassed about that. But here I am in my account, and I have selected Bonnie. So I'm just going to put Bonnie in here. This is also the ad account name that I have assigned, and this is what they've pulled over from AMS. So I have Bonnie, So Original. I also have one that's for like my publishing company. That would be in the other one that I could pull up. This is the entity ID, and this is your app API numeric ID. And these are all the things that they check for and that they keep specifically for. Okay, now we're going to go down into some of the other data that is by default, it's set up for like a merchandise account, but I'm going to tell you how I would figure out each of these for my specific author business. Okay. Profit margin, like your estimated profit. This gives you a more accurate way to combine your book sales and KMP royalties to make better advertising decisions. I would put it at 70%. Okay. And the reason I would do 70% is because I want to make sure that I'm getting things for like my delivery, or the fact that it might say that I made a $3.99 sale, but we all know that I only get 65%, 70% of that. Okay. Minus fees and whatever. So I'm going to say 70% just to be whatever. I know that I get all of my KEMP royalties, but this actually gives me the air on this side rather than airing on the overspend side. Now you do have the okay, so this is my orders impact multiplier, and this is specific. Impact multipliers are specific for the KDP exclusive in this specific instance. Orders impact multiplier. So I don't change this. I leave this at 1. And I change this, and I leave this one at 1. So these are the impact multipliers. Like, it's kind of like, hey, how much do you want to gauge how effective your advertising is versus your organic sales growth? I'm just going to leave it at 1. I'm not super worried about it. Then we're going to come down to, wait, I got to hit save. Always hit save. I'm going to make that one smaller. I'm going to go into bid and campaign settings. So the default target ACOS. So imagine you're coming in and you're like, oh my gosh, my goal is to keep my ACOS under 250%. So for myself, as for my own, 2 pen names, I specifically focus on, I will focus on keeping the ACOS under 250% for book 1. And I don't usually run ads for later in series for myself. If my clients want me to, I will. But for myself, it's always on book 1 because I know, and so then I use 250%. Now I know that at 250%, every single one of my series, if I can get book 1 to be advertising with my AMS ads at 250% ACOS or better, that I'm in a really good, solid position to be making money throughout the whole series if they read through. And this is over time, right? So at 250% ACOS. Now, just a side note, do you know what ACOS is? So ACOS is like the target here is, and I don't know what the ACOS stands for, but I do understand that it's like the percentage of like, if it's like 100%, then that means for you to make $1, it costs you $1. If you are going to spend if you're going to make $1, it's going to cost, and it's 250% ACOS. That means that to make that $1, I had to spend $2.50 to make that $1. So does that make sense? So the ACOS is telling you, oh crap, for every $2.50, you're making $1. Well, that's okay if I'm in a series and I'm like, yeah, okay, I have a series. Book 1 is going to be set at $250 for my ACOS, because I know that if they read through to the 10 books that I have in the series, I'm going to actually be making like $18 on that series. So I can spend $250 to make my $1. Okay, does that make sense? Okay, so your ACOS is a determinant, but at the same time, it's not. So here is where I put my default target ACOS. And this is really just kind of so my whole account is ready to go and it's acknowledged that that's what the ACOS target is. I also use this as kind of like within. So like if I'm like, yeah, my target ACOS is this, and I'll write that into some of my recipes, because I do a lot for a lot of different clients. And honestly, each client has different ACOS targets. I have one client who's very successful, and her ACOS can go up to 1,100%, and she's still making a huge ton of money. And we're getting more and more and more exposure. I don't like 1,100%, but we can go that high because it's such a huge tool, or just because she has such a huge return when she does sell. To determine this, you can actually go into reader links. And use a tool that I really like. Here, I'm going to actually go into Author Helper Suite. I'm going to show you series sell through, read through. And this will kind of give you like an idea of, oh, if I spend this much money, let me grab a book. If I spend this much money, here's what my potential ACOS could be. I'm going to do all data collected. And so for this series, if I was going to put an ad on book 1, this will tell me what my affordable ACOS is. So it's telling me that right here is my estimated profitable Amazon ads ACOS for my starting book. So this is great. See, and I would put 250% because I've already calculated this out. This is what I would like to be. But it's telling me, hey, you could go up to 412% and still be fine with this specific series. So I've done this with all of my clients, gone through and been like, okay, and I always err on the side of maybe go like 50% of that. So I would do, I'd be really happy with 250 for this. Okay. So that's one great tool that Author Helper Suite has. You put all your data in and see, this is a really neat tool to tell you what your estimated profitable Amazon ads ACOS is. So you can use that. Okay, let's go back into Merch Jar. So that's where I have my target ACOS. And then what I have for my smart bid settings, this is for, and we'll get into this, but these are things so that like when I set my recipes in place, it doesn't exceed my maximum bid or my minimum bid. So here you can actually do where I would say, yeah, we're not going to go less than 0 cents. I mean, if you could like pay me for me to bid, great, let's go like a -12, but it doesn't let you do a negative. It's at minimum is 0. I always put 0 because then it kind of gives its own where it's like, yeah, we're going to keep going down until it's like 2 cents. In fact, if you wanted to, you can do 2 cents. Okay. Then what you would do is you would do your maximum bid. Now you need to be very careful because if you are assigning your ads inside AMS, that's one thing you cannot do with Merch Jar. You cannot create ads in here yet. Okay. I don't know if that's something they're going to plan on doing or if they're leaving it as an optimization tool, which I love it as an optimization tool. If you're going to be creating ads inside AMS, or Advantage, and you have to select dynamic up or down, dynamic down, or fixed bid. Now, if I'm going to be mixing it up, which I do, then I have to be very careful that my maximum bid is keeping in mind that I don't want to pay $1.50 or $2 for a click. I don't want to pay that. I don't have the the margin for that. So here's where I'm like, okay, I would be comfortable going up to 72 cents in a max bid, but I know I can override that if I need to. So here, since I changed the, since I did this to 0.2, whoa, I'm going to hit save. Okay, and I'm gonna make that smaller. So again, these are settings that you'll wanna set up in your account. I kind of want it to go back by 90 days because let's be honest, we're authors and I would like it to look at the way things are over the last 90 days, not just 30 days. And like attrition and all the things. I don't want it to turn anything off that could potentially be very profitable for me. And I do want this to do the same thing with the smart bid. So I'm going to turn that on and I'm going to hit save. Okay. And then we're going to do rounding strategies. This is where they talk about, do you want to, when we get into pennies and stuff, what's great about this is Merch Jar. Cameron actually did really well with merchandise, with the t-shirt and stuff. He's made a lot of money, like a lot, you guys. And so he did really good. And so they're dealing with thousands of dollars, okay, with merchandise companies. They're dealing with thousands and thousands and thousands, millions of dollars. Authors aren't dealing with that as much from the AMS range. Yes, we are dealing with $100,000 or $200,000 a month, or maybe just as small as $1,000 a month, right? And that's okay. Wherever your starting point is, that's phenomenal. But in this instance, it's like, well, do we want to do rounding? Like for any of these, fractional cents, I do weighted rounding because that's what Cameron and the team has set as a default. So that must be a good idea. So we're just going to leave that. Now, if you have a different opinion or different experience, again, all of this is great. You can click here. They have really great help desk, help knowledge bases all over the place. You just look for the little blue click here link thing and go from there. I default to weighted rounding. Now, rather than take up all your time and explain why I do those ones, we're going to get into some of the other really fun features so that you can actually decide for yourself if you want to give Merch Jar a try. So here's my history. This is just a fast where it like shows me about 19 hours ago, this recipe was triggered and it did this. This recipe was triggered and it did, it was affected by, or it affected 3,313 keywords. Great. So this actually will tell you what has happened in the last amount of time versus not. Okay, so, and you can look at, so this is all of their history. I can go to smart campaigns, but I don't have any smart campaigns set up. I was going to show you how to do those in here. And then there's like data syncs and it's showing all the things and it shows you that it does it at the same time every single day. That's how I have it set up. So those two things. Oh my goodness. Are you guys ready for a drink? I think I need a drink. So do you guys have any questions at this point? Put them in the comments. Oh, okay. I am ready to get into the next part. Okay, so here we're at dashboards. Now I'm not going to click all ad accounts because this would show you all of my client accounts that are connected to Merch Jar. And I don't want you to see that. So active ad account, which is the current ad account that I am in, which is my ad account. You can do all kinds of things to adjust this, like it's so pretty. You would pick like, let's say I don't want to do the last 30 days. Let's say I just want to do June. It'll adjust this and then it'll adjust this for me too. All of these up here. What's my ACOS for the account? You can also come in and be like, I don't want to see my charts. I just want to see this and I want to compare the ASINs. Like there's so much fun stuff you can do in here, but the charts make me happy. Okay. They make me feel warm and fuzzy. Is that okay to say on YouTube? Warm and fuzzy. It shows you the CPC, the clicks. It shows you like, yeah, it's up. Yeah, it's down. CTR is down. Sales or whatever. This is a really great tool for figuring out like what you're doing right and what you might not be doing right, all in a glance, okay? I really love this tool for my clients because I actually get to look at things really fast and be like, okay, what is causing the low sales? And because some of these books that I'm actually advertising are now currently in KU for these specific couple pen names that I have in this account, you can see where it's like, okay, we have clicks going up, we have impressions going up, we have page reads going up. So I love this because again, I can look at this and be like, okay, why is my CVR down? I don't understand. Let's go back in and let's really like check it out. So now we have skipped, we're done with the dashboard section. Again, I'm not going to show you all ad accounts. Then we're going to come down into automations. This is where the real beauty of Merch Jar lies. This is where if you understand your stuff correctly, you can actually set Merch Jar up to do your job of optimizing your ads without having to babysit it. So let's go in and look at smart campaigns. I'm actually going to create a smart campaign with you right now, and then I'm going to discuss recipes, and then I'll show you ad manager. So this is kind of long, but essentially it will show you what you need. Okay, so we're going to look at new smart campaign. So here's what we're doing. I clicked my new smart campaign. I'm going to click link ad groups. I always turn these on because I might want to go back in and turn something back on. This is totally me. But essentially what the new smart campaign does is I like to call it my harvesting group. So I always start an auto ad for my books, and then I start a keyword ad, and then I start a product ad, okay? So I always have those for my process. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna click search, and then it's gonna bring up all of these ads. Well, what I wanna do is I wanna look for one more chance. So I'm just gonna search, and this is gonna bring up all of my one more chance. So here's my auto mining. I'm gonna click that one. Then I'm gonna go, yep, I want this one. So we're just gonna do those two. Normally I have a product ad, but I forgot that I did not do that on one more chance because I've got a lot of freebies that actually, like a lot of free promos that I do with that book and with that series. And when you do those, the product ads are really expensive. Not the product display ads, but like the targeting ones. And I don't like the category targeting ones. And I don't love that. So I'm always like, I don't want to pay the money just for a free book, but I will pay it on the keyword and for the auto mining. So I'm going to do link ad groups. Okay. So these are linked. Great. Now what, Bonnie? Let me show you. Next thing is we're going to add a rule. So what happens, and there's a lot, like you have got to understand, and I think it's called Boolean conditions, Boolean reasoning, I think is what it's called, like and or whatever. Well, this is also including or like greater than, less than, equal to, that kind of thing. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to show you what I would do in this instance and what my goal is. Remember, you have to know your goal. So what I want to do is I'm going to be auto mining to get good keywords. Okay. So I'm going to go one more chance, auto mining keywords. Okay. And I might change the name as I start setting up more rules, but you're going to kind of watch this and see what happens. So if my orders are less than 2, if my blended profit is less than $10, I don't want that. Actually, I'll go less than 1 because sometimes you can have that. Okay, spend is greater than $30. And my ACOS is, we're going to say, greater than 251 because remember, 250 is my target. Blended ACOS is greater than or equal to 400. So the blended ACOS is where it takes into account your page reads. So it calculates your page reads and it calculates your ACOS with sales. Okay, so it's going to do both for you. Clicks, I'm not going to do that one. Adjusted page reads, I'm not going to do that one. My adjusted estimated royalties, I'm not going to do that one. But I do want to look back for, I'm going to do 90 days on this one. It says leave empty for a lifetime look back. One thing I didn't tell you is that MerchJar has the capability of looking way back, especially the longer you've been with the account. Like it can look back that far instead of just being limited to like 30 days or 90 days like KDP is. So you actually have a terrific like bird's eye view of data. You might not be able to see it, but they can access it. So we can be like, I could put in here something like a year or however long back I've been with them and be like, okay, I want you to be targeting ACOS, that's this much, but I don't want it to be looking anything like this based on time, right? Because we have seasonal books. One More Chance is definitely a Christmas series. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm like, okay, I like this. So I don't want to do a bid change. I'm going to be pausing a keyword or turning it into a negative keyword. If I have less than 1 order, 0, I'm making less than $10, but my spend is higher than $30 and my ACOS is greater than 251, or it's greater than or equal to 400% unblended ACOS. So I'm covering both of my terms there. It might be an and in this, in this situation. So, but it would be if it was blended and it was 251. Okay. So here we go. So what it's saying is, do you want to do a bid change? So it says, when promoting a new keyword, you have the option to automatically increase or decrease the resolved bid for your newly promoted search term. Now, this is if I loved the term, like if I loved the keyword and what it was doing, it was giving me more than one's order. And it was like making me more than $30. And it was making me, right? Like my ACOS is like 10, was like less than 100%. Yes, go for it. Then I would say, yeah, I want to add the keyword to this one right here. I would take from my auto mining. So this is my source. And I would say, yeah, I want you to make this an exact. But I want to do so I would put it here, right? The target ad groups. I would want to be like, I want it as phrase and exact, but not broad, because as you know, broads aren't as useful. But what if I was like for instance, in this situation is what I'm doing is I'm doing a negative. I'm doing auto mining keyword. I'm going to do negative, and I'm going to take that word. And what happens is when it hits the goals of what it's supposed to do, it starts at the source ad, and then it goes in, and I'm going to put it as exact and phrase. I don't want those. Okay. Like I don't want them to be put into my new keyword ad group because I don't want them to be affecting me because I know that they're not going to work here. Okay, so this is something that normally I have to do I've got to go in, grab all of, like I've got to go through the auto mining, like I call them harvesting ads. I go in every 60, and it's not every 65 days. It's like every 20 days, but it's 65 days is how far back Amazon will let you look. And I will go through them, and then I'll go in and create negative keywords inside of a keyword list so that they're not sitting there targeting these keywords when I don't want them to, or I'll pause ones where I'm like, yeah, these aren't good. So this is a lot. Okay, so honestly, I love how this looks right here. I would not add anything or change anything, but then when I would hit add rule, okay? You can do it to where you're like, yeah, in these auto ads, they're at less than 100%. This keyword's phenomenal. It's doing whatever. Then you can put in, and it's an exact phrase and target or product or whatever for your rule to make a new one. And you can add rules inside of this linked ad, inside this smart campaign. So I'm going to call this my one more chance optimizer. Okay. So I would save this as my smart campaign. Okay. And now after all that, I still have to be like this. I have to turn it on. You can come in here though and do a dry run and see what it would look like and what it would do. So let's just look and see. What would it do? So it's saying it would create zero new keywords, zero negative keywords, okay? And that's just to show you, it'll show you exactly what it would do. Okay, so let's go back in, and now that I've shown you how to do a smart campaign and how to make it to where it's like, oh, this would work really well. Now we're gonna talk about my favorite, which is the recipes. And this is one thing that I talked about at the end. You'll get a bonus. You can actually go down and sign up for it right now. It's free. It's literally just sign up for a newsletter thing because I will most likely have more recipes because these things are so fun to make. I literally am like, okay, if this is something I watch for, because I have a lot of clients that I'm always optimizing for, and I'm like, if I could do this, let me see if I can create a recipe that would help me get this goal. And yes, when I do, I'm like, oh, this is phenomenal. Okay. And so some of these recipes might not have anything to do with you because your goals are going to be different. But I will talk about in a different video how you can actually like adjust your recipes. And actually, maybe I'll do that in this video. Talk about how you will like adjust your recipes and stuff to fit you and how to read them. This is actually a really packed video. So again, I'm sorry. If you have any questions, just go in the comments, and you can always join HiveMind if you want like one-on-one with us. So, okay, we're actually in recipes now, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what a recipe is. So a recipe will actually look at everything if that's what you want it to do. So let's just go in. Let's go. And a lot of these are the default ones that Cameron and his team have in MerchJar for you. Not all of them are actually appropriate for books, like book for authors, but if you're using your thinking brain and you are looking at them with that Boolean logic, you can actually figure out if it's appropriate for you or not, and you can turn it on or turn it off. Do whatever you want. Okay, so let's go into one that was actually used today. And again, these are all starter recipes that they have in there. You can figure out how to make your own. It is really easy. You just have to make sure that you understand the reasoning, okay? And they have a page that actually describes how to do it and like their help and stuff. And it's easy. So this is their starter, high ACOS on targets. So this right here is what they're talking about for your source. So you have campaigns, ad groups, keyword, and targets. I use keywords and targets for pretty much all of my recipes. I don't know. I think there might be a couple that are more ad group specific for the recipes that I'm giving you, but I'd have to look and see. Okay. So let's say this one says target. So when you're looking at my recipes, you're going to definitely want to be like, oh, okay, this is like, for instance, I'll pull one up just a second. And I'm going to actually put one in so right here, this is to optimize ACOS for book 1 in series. Data source is the campaign data. There's one. And we're going to do the conditions are over the last 30 days, the ACOS is less than 250% and sales are greater than $10 and pages read is more than 1,000, or over the last 7 days, clicks equals more than 100 and spend is less than $50. So this is to optimize for your ACOS. Okay. So the action would be to increase the bid by 10%. So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to show you what that all means. So it says that for instance, this is the target. This is your source. The last one was campaign, but this is our source, which is targets. So what's really nice about Merch Jar is they always include the comments, like the description of what the actual ads are. I mean, of like what the recipes are. So this one says, this recipe is used to lower bids on high ACOS targets and segments targets by order volume, low, moderate, and high. Again, remember, we don't only have orders. Some of us are KU authors and we have page reads as well. Okay, so then it comes down, it says, okay, start trigger. And then it says global options. These options apply to all order volumes. And then it says, okay, so the first one is over the last 2 days, state is effectively enabled, meaning the ad is running and it's enabled, okay, over the last 2 days. And there are 0 clicks. And the clicks are greater than 0, okay? So the click threshold stops lowering bid if not getting clicks. So what this says is right here, like just if we just stop here, the actions are change bid, decrease by 2%. Okay, and then we check it once per day. And then it says, hey, this is gonna apply to these ads right here, this specific thing. And you can see all the data down here to what it says it's gonna apply to. So another thing, so those are the global options. And it has to hit low order volume over the last 30 days. And I have come in here and I have adjusted every single order threshold, every single target, and every single ACOS. What there was set in here was 8%. That's too low for an author. I want 300%. So I did orders are greater than or equal to 2. And the ACOS is greater than 300%. Remember, my limit for my personal account is 250%. But for here, I was like, hey, look, if it starts getting over 300%, start doing crap. Move the keywords down, okay? And then it says over the last 14 days, there's less than 4 orders. Now you can change this to 90 days, 10 days, 7 days, 30 days. Do whatever you've got to do. I always like to give myself a little bit of a buffer. And since I just started these ads up again because I just have been making some changes in my own pen name, I just went with the last 14 days. Normally I'd go for 30. Clients, I'm at 30, 60, and 90 days that I like to actually double check on my recipes for the ones that I'm using it on. Okay, moderate order volume over the last 14 days. Here's my orders are greater than or equal to 4 and ACOS is greater than 300%. That crap needs to start moving down. I'm not spending that much and it will adjust the bid, right? So if the bid's at 69 cents, it says here, and it says that this one down here is fitting these, some of these circumstances, then it's going to decrease the bid by 2%. Now let's see what 2% of 69 is. Okay, so by almost 2 cents. It's going to take it down just under 2 cents. So it'll keep pulling it down because it's losing money, right? Okay. So that's what that is. And I can set it almost after every data sync, once per day manually to where I'm the one that comes in and has to click run it on certain days, on certain dates at a certain time. I just picked once per day because I'm happy with that. And I know that mine aren't super aggressive. Again, this one says aggression is 4%. Now, I do have a client that I spoke with about this and we were talking about different goals and stuff that they wanted their AMS ad account to actually have. And based on the things that he was telling me, I was like, okay, you want to be pretty aggressive. And so we went after it with more like a 25% aggression. And it has scaled very well. However, I would counsel you to be very careful because sometimes when we get too excited about something that's working, we can overbid and outbid ourselves. And by bid, I mean budget. It will actually help us adjust budget if we want to as well. And I don't want you to get kind of crazy and be too excited when sometimes your budget can get out of hand. And so be careful on those types of things. But it says that we can change bid or set state. And set state means to pause it. It also is like you can increase by money, you can increase by percent, set dollars, decrease dollars, whatever. So there's lots of things. Now, let's go back in and we're going to actually create a recipe and I'm going to show you. So this is how nice it is. There's no explanations when you create your own recipe. There's not really any explanations inside of my own recipes that I've given you. Because, dude, that's a lot more work than I was willing to do. So let's go in and I'm just going to grab. Okay, so there I would post in this. It says over the last 30 days, my ACOS is going to be less than 250% and my sales are going to be more than $10 and my pages read are going to be more than 1,000 and my clicks are going to be more than 100 and my ad spend is going to be less than $50. So over one thing, when I put them all together, it's one syntax. Okay. So this trigger is valid, and it says, oh, and then I have a change my daily budget increase by 10%. Please, please, please do not go up more than 25%. If you go up more than 25%, AMS will be thrown back into learning, and they're going to have a hard time figuring out who to send your new budget to, your new ads to. When you go up a little at a time, again, I've done videos on this. When you go up a little at a time, you don't break the system. Okay. Okay. So now I'm going to do once percent. And it says that this recipe will actually apply to one of my ads. So this is phenomenal. So I'm going to actually go up here and I'm going to name this 30-day, and I am optimizing campaign budget. And we're going to do 250. Actually, I have already named them all for you. I don't know why. So optimize ACOS books, ACOS for book 1 in series. And I'm just going to hit save. And then I'm going to come back in here and I'm going to hit enabled. And that is literally how you do the recipes. Okay, I have given you enough. If you have any questions, just reach out in the comments, but I have a whole list of them that you can go in and sign up for and get started on using MerchJar in that respect. Now, one last thing before I get too far out and crazy. Wait, that's already happened. Let's talk about the ad manager section. This is really cool. I know all of it's really cool, but I love this because I can actually come in here to campaigns and look at each campaign, and I can look at, do I have my smart bids on? Remember we talked about that. Don't go up, don't go down, don't go too crazy. But it actually adjusts based on that. This one is my budget. I can change my budget inside of MerchJar based on the information. Okay. That's one of the only places that I can actually change it. So this is my budget is in the campaign, and I can just change it in here, or I can turn on my smart bids. Then I also have portfolios. I don't like portfolios. I don't use them because clicking to me is super valuable. And when I do portfolios, that means I got to do another click, and I hate it. I hate it. It takes up time. And if you have 10 clicks and they take, I mean, for me, it's got to load every time, right? And I'm rural, so that could be 10 seconds each time. Well, you just cost me 100 seconds because I've got to click into each of these portfolios. So for me, I rarely use portfolios because I don't like having to do all of that. Okay, there's also placement. So let's look at placements. So these ones are when it's like, hey, this is your, where are we going to be targeting? We have products, what are we looking at here? And it's really nice because it does give you all the information that you need. What are the products we're targeting? What are we looking at here? The AOV, it shows you the CAC, your customer acquisition cost, how much it costs to get you a customer, all kinds of things in here. This is great information. Inherited smart bid setting, target ACOS threshold 2%, maximum bid adjustment 3%. See, if I turn on smart bid, then I have to go in and I have to actually fix it. So that's where it's like, hey, we got to go up a little bit. We're going to go down a little bit. Those are the things that we set. Okay. Ad groups. This again, you can come in here, and what I love about this is you can change your bids from here. And I don't have that second guessing in my head of, crap, maybe I need to take their suggested bid of $7.33. No, I'm never going to do that. But this actually is really nice because I can just look and be like, yeah, I think I do want to go up. And no, I don't want to go up. Like there's things that you can do when you dive into this part. And I'll do another video like how to actually break into these things and do them like a little bit more detailed. Maybe we'll do a series on MerchJar. But again, here's the ads, the section on the ads. Again, this is like what's paused, what's not paused, what's working, what's not working. Actually, really quick, the colors actually tell you where they're at with regards to hitting your target ACOS. And this is great because look at, I am clearly over on my blended ACOS. I am pretty close over because I'm at 250, but it's like, hey, you haven't doubled your ACOS yet. But green's like, yes, look at how pretty you're under your ACOS. Anyways. Okay, next would be keywords. So here's all your keywords. You can mine for them. You can go in and change your bids on them. Yeah, I'm doing great. Let's change these and see it. Look at it's showing you the information. We're changing the bids. There's so much great stuff you can do in here. And if you're like me and you like to play with tools and stuff, this actually makes my life a lot easier. So I set up my rules. My rules are very specific. Again, for each client, they're very specific and you have to understand how to read them. So don't just be applying rules willy-nilly inside of MerchJar and then come back and be like, Bonnie, this is costing me too much money or it's not working. Look, I'm not running your ads. So if I was, I could tell you, yeah, this is doing this because of this, or this is doing this because are not doing this because of this. But when you're doing your own stuff, you got to know your stuff. Like, you have to know your own crap. Does that make sense? Like, you have to know what your ACOS goal is. You have to know what your acceptable bid is. That's not my job to know that stuff. And it's not my job for every single person that watches this or uses my recipes, if you can't figure out how to apply them, then don't use them. Okay? I know that sounds kind of rough, but seriously, don't use them. All right, search terms is another great one. This is stuff that you get off of those autos, right? I get a lot of these, and here's some keywords one where they're like, hey, look, you were using these, and this is the information that we got from it, and so whatever. Products, this is my favorite one, not my favorite one, but this is one of my favorite ones where I can actually like download and get the ones that that have been used, and that, look, these are working. These ones are actually, these are the ASINs that I have. Look, it's going to take me to the book. See? And it actually tells me how many I have according to that ASIN. Like, how many ads do I have running? What's going on? And so what this tells me is, I need to go make some active smart campaigns. I need to get some campaign rules going. I need some things set up so that this is actually going to be more effective for me in the future, so that I don't have to babysit my own ads. Again, here is my caveat for whenever we do a tool, okay? If you do a tool and you're using some kind of a tool, like I use Espresso, or if you use rules inside of Facebook, the Facebook rules, I think that before you apply rules, you should understand exactly how to use the original platform first. So for instance, if you're using AMS, then by golly, you better understand AMS before you start using a tool like MerchJar. Because if you tell MerchJar to go in and raise your budget 5%, just because you're doing well, or because it's been every 3 days, and they're raising your budget and you're blowing through that money, it's not MerchJar's fault. It's not my fault. It's your fault because you didn't set up your stuff right. You didn't understand what you were doing. So I always tell people, like when they're telling me, hey, yeah, what do you think about MerchJar? Or what do you think about this tool over here? Or what do you think about whatever, my first and most important thing that I ask them is, do you understand the original platform's fundamental capabilities? Do you understand what it is that you're trying to do? If you're the type of person who's like, yeah, I'm just going to run auto ads all day long, I don't care, I don't want to do anything else, then no, a tool like this is not for you. I do not recommend it. I would highly recommend that you just don't do it. But if you're the type of person who's like, I start auto ads because I want to learn what Amazon thinks is the best stuff for my products. And let's be honest, Amazon's algorithms know who is searching for what. So for people to be like, I don't do auto ads because auto ads are a great place to start. It's a great place to start. I don't recommend you only run auto ads. I do think auto ads can be very effective, but if you use them the way that I've just kind of roughly washed over as fast as I possibly could, you can use them to mine out the correct terms and products and keywords and whatever that you're trying to use. And it can actually be very, very effective for you. And a tool like this can do this on a big scale so that you can actually go, and this is what I use it for. I use it for a lot of this stuff, obviously, but when I'm applying it for my clients, this does the babysitting. So I can actually go in, and I'm like, right now, we have so many thousands of books getting uploaded every single day. And I have to be able to go in and say, are these the correct search terms that are going to work for my client's book? I actually read my client's books so I can get a feel for what their story is, what they're actually like, who are they like. And so then it's like, okay, they're not. So like, let's say for instance, I have a BDSM writer, and this writer is no, I'm exactly like E.L. James. I went in and, I've read 50, and I have to tell you, this author's books are nothing like them. So I was like, no, actually, you might have the same idea, but it's nothing like this. You are actually more like, and then I brought up this series and this author that she was actually exactly like. And I said, this is where we need to be targeting. Not who you think, but who the reader is actually hitting across. And again, this is a ton of marketing stuff crammed into one huge video, and I'm so sorry. But that's what I use MerchJar for. MerchJar helps me automate the menial tasks so that I can go in and do the actual digging. I can find the keywords that I need to find. I can find the comp authors and the comp pages, and I can actually create things and create messages that I need to so that I can keep helping my author scale up and have appropriate ads for themselves. And that's like, for me, I've been looking for something like this forever, and so glad that I ate my humble pie. My kids like coming in my office even though they're not supposed to. And I'm so glad I was able to eat my humble pie, and that the guys at Merch Jar were so gracious to let me go ahead and give it another try and to be so kind about it, because I really was a jerk. And I own it. I was a jerk. I can be very blunt sometimes and very bold, and I was both. So, and it wasn't even their fault. Again, it was my fault. So if you get a chance, try out Merch Jar. Totally give it a shot. Their tech support is phenomenal. You can get help support down in the bottom left-hand corner. You can also join our free Facebook group for Finding Your Indie and like ask some questions in there. I love talking about all things ads and marketing. So is Mandy. And this is a really fun tool. You can also join HiveMind if you want more one-on-one consulting. And we have a lot of courses and stuff that you can access as well. Sign up for the Merch Jar recipes that I have available for you. I'm going to ask for your newsletter. I'm going to ask for your email address. It is what it is. You know, we're in a land of marketing. If I didn't ask you for your email address and I'm a marketing expert, I'm not displaying the correct skills, am I? Okay. Anyway, so I hope you give Merch Jar a chance. I'm so glad that I did. Again, they're super fun to use. They've been really helpful, again, really gracious, and I hope that you see them out and about, and a lot of people are talking about them right now. And I just think that if you have like I said, if you come into this and you're like, I'm so overwhelmed, I don't know what to do, it is going to be overwhelming. But if you know, okay, I need to do these things to set up, and you just start from the beginning like we talked about, you'll be set up in a correct way. And if you have any questions, just let me know. Put them in the bottom, put comments down below, and I will see if I can transcript this sucker and put it into a blog post so it has some of the things that I said rather quickly and organize out a little bit better so that they sound better, because this one was a lot. And doing the whole public apology and admitting when I did something wrong publicly to however many people will watch this, whether it's 2 or 5 billion, it was hard. So thanks for watching. And if you stuck out this long, awesome. This is a lot of Bonnie to have on a Friday. All right, you guys, thank you so much. Hit like and subscribe, and I can't wait to see you elsewhere. Bye.